Hello everyone, this is Warhawk Beyond 2040 and welcome to another edition of the Superman and Lois Season 1 review series. And today I am going to be talking about Episode 8, Holding the Wrench, which I have just finished watching. And this episode was just absolutely fantastic. This show not only continues to keep getting better and better, but every episode is just blowing my mind. And we're only 8 episodes into the first season. And everything about it, as I've mentioned in past editions of this series, the music, the way it's filmed, the cinematic approach, the acting, the storytelling, everything about this show has just been absolutely fantastic. And so far, after 8 episodes now, I have yet to see a bad one. I mean, usually when you have a really good season, especially a first one, you tend to have 1 or 2 clunker episodes, but so far, there hasn't been a single clunker in this season. Everything has just been excellent from start to finish, and I'm absolutely loving every second of it. And I'm going to go out on record once again and say this: Superman and Lois, in my opinion, is by far the best show in the Arrowverse. And it doesn't even feel like it's connected to the CW. It just feels like something you would see on HBO Max, because that's how good this show is. I know it's connected to the Arrowverse, but it doesn't feel like it. It just feels like its own complete separate thing from everything else, and it just stands up on its own very, very well. And Tyler Hoechlin and Elizabeth Tulloch, in my opinion, are well on their way to becoming the best Superman and Lois Lane in the modern day. I probably would say they're the best Superman and Lois since Tom Welling and Erica Durant, but they're more of a mature approach than the more younger approach that Tom Welling and Erica Durant brought to those iconic characters in Smallville. So I'm going to give a quick recap of what's happened so far, and then we're going to get straight into talking about Episode 8. So, ever since we first met Captain Luthor, who is now revealed to be John Henry Irons, aka Steel, for comic book fans out there, we've been on this journey where he's been portrayed as this mysterious stranger from another Earth, and we've seen over the course of a few episodes that John Henry Irons from his Earth had a wife who was Lois Lane, and they have a daughter named Natalie. And we've been seeing what his life was like on another Earth, and we learned what's been going on that universe. And basically what we've been seeing is that the Superman from his Earth is an evil, renegade, tyrant, rogue, basically Superman gone evil. And we see that evil Superman murdered Lois Lane live on national TV, and that obviously has angered John Henry Irons to basically take the fight to Superman. And his mission has basically been, I'm not going to let the same thing that's happened on my Earth happen to this one. I'm going to stop Superman before he turns on the human race, which is fair enough. And we've also seen over the course of a couple of episodes, we learned that General Sam Lane on his Earth was working with him, and him and all of his men were murdered by this evil Superman. And as we saw in the last episode, he now revealed himself to be John Henry Irons, not Captain Luthor. So he'd been operating under this false alias. And the twist at the end of that episode was just absolutely epic. And that episode was directed by David Ramsey, who, by the way, did an excellent job. And I hope they bring him back to do more episodes, because he's an amazing director, and he could very well go on to be a great director in his own right. So this episode pretty much picks up where we left off at the end of Episode 7. We see Henry Irons is being held in custody, and this is all setting up for his meeting with Superman. So after watching this episode, really good, and I'm really hoping that we see Henry Irons and Superman work together as Superman and Steel, because we all know, anybody who's seen Superman the animated series or has read the comic books, everyone knows that Superman and Steel would go on to become not only good friends but great allies as well in their fight against evil. So with that all said, let's get right into it. Let's talk about Episode 8, Holding the Wrench. So this episode opens up with Lois Lane talking with a psychiatrist, telling her that while she hasn't seen her in years, she needs to talk about something that she did which hurt someone she loves. So obviously we are seeing in this episode certain events that have happened in this episode from Lois Lane's point of view and why she's there talking to a psychiatrist. And we also learn a very shocking revelation about why Lois has been feeling the way she has been feeling, which we will get into in a moment. So after a brief moment alone with the family in which John feels useless holding the wrench while Clark fixes the truck by hand after Jonathan and Jordan smashed Henry Irons at the end of the last episode, Clark heads off to the DOD to see John Henry Irons with Sam Lane, and John asks Lois if he can come with her to the RV. We then see in the RV, John Henry Irons' computer recognises Lois Lane's voice, and she asks it to give her all of the information it has on Henry Irons. At the Cushion House, Kyle tells Lana that he wants to be part of Edge's leadership program if any new openings come up. And then Sarah reveals that an old friend asked her to be part of a musical revue at school. When she gets there to sign up, Jordan sees her and she says that she has not been able to do music since stage fright started bothering her as a child. Jordan reveals that he used to play piano until his anxiety also took over him, and says that if she decides to take to the stage, he'll be there to support her. Kind of been enjoying this little relationship going on with Jordan and Sarah. Kind of reminds me of Smallville in some ways with Lana and Clark in those first early episodes. So this relationship's been quite nice to watch and grow over the course of the season. Meanwhile, at the DOD, soldiers handcuff John Henry Irons and bring him into an interrogation room where we see Superman standing there in the shadows waiting to question him. And the way Superman was standing there in the corner kind of reminded me of The Dark Knight, where Batman was standing there behind the Joker ready to just grill him. So I kind of enjoyed that. Noting that our world's John Henry Irons died 6 years earlier under mysterious circumstances, he asks the mysterious stranger how he got here, and then we see a flashback of Henry on his ship, and he is attacked by the evil Superman. We then flash back to the present, where he tells Superman that he's going to kill him and starts accusing him of being no different to the one on his Earth. And then he says he won't talk until he brings him Lois Lane. In the RV, John and Lois figure out that John is from another Earth and realises that he was married to Lois Lane on his world and that they have a daughter named Natalie. John tells Superman that he won't let Superman murder her again. Back at the psychiatrist's office, Lois confesses that she was enraged and lashed out at someone she loved, and she's worried that they won't trust her or look at her or feel the same way about her again. On the phone with Clark, Lois tells him that John Henry is going to have to deal with the reality that this isn't his Earth and Clark isn't his Superman. She wants to come to see John Henry, but Clark says not yet, thinking that he has a new angle now that he knows what John's motivation is. Back at the RV, Lois tells John she needs to take a break from it and she will let him know when they are ready to go back in. At the Cushion House, Kyle brings his guitar out to pressure Sarah into rehearsing a song. She reveals to him that if she's doing a solo, her stage fright is out of control, although she claims she's fine when she has people with her. He offers to come play with her on stage so that she isn't alone, and they start practicing. At the DOD, Sam is planning to have a torture expert try and extract information from John Henry. John wanders into the RV and is rattled to discover the video of Lois being murdered by that Earth's Superman. He opens the door to find John Henry's arsenal of weapons, and the AI kicks in, locking him in and counting down 20 seconds to when the RV will be blasted to pieces. John slams on the door, and when Lois can't verbally override John's computer, she pulls out her signal watch to call Superman for help, who speeds in at the last second to throw himself on top of John. He blasts the weapons with his heat vision and pulls John out of the RV to safety. Later at the home, we see Lois lose it with Jonathan for taking a very dangerous risk without her. He admits he was looking for weapons to protect himself and Lois. She tells him that she can't trust him if he's going to be irresponsible, and that if he had been killed, it would have been his own fault. After John leaves, Clark tells Lois to consider seeing the doctor if he can't be what she needs right now, and leaves to check on Jonathan. Now, this scene where Lois completely loses it with Jonathan was a very emotional and powerful scene, and this is one of Tulloch's best performances on the show so far, and she's really, really coming into her own as a definitive Lois Lane in her own right. And it was just top notch. I absolutely got chills and on the edge of my seat just watching this scene. At Edge's company, Leslie tells Carl that Edge was interested in him and that Lana turned down the offer. At her desk, Lana is helping a local business with a grant when Kyle comes and confronts her with this information. She tells him that Lyle doesn't know what she's talking about, and while he likes Kyle, he doesn't think Kyle is management material. Kyle leaves very angry. Sam comes in to tell John Henry that they plan to use drugs and torture to get through to him. John calls him on it, saying that that's not the kind of person Sam Lane is, and asking if he really believes that Superman won't turn against humanity if there are more Kryptonians who he could side with. Back in the psychiatrist's office, Lois admits to being scared by the near miss with John, and the doctor asks if it's tied to a miscarriage that she had many years ago, as the last time she saw a therapist. Lois rationalises that miscarriages are pretty common, but the doctor tries not to let her off the hook, leading Lois to reveal that they were going to name the child after her granddaughter, Natalie. Now, that was a very emotional moment, because now you understand why Lois lost it with Jonathan, because she was worried she was going to lose him the same way she lost her own child. So this kind of brought everything together very nicely, and I thought was really well done. And I thought we'd have to wait till the next episode to find out that revelation, but I like the way they did it here. It didn't feel rushed. It felt very organic and very natural. As for DOD, a soldier for Rossetti gets into a conflict with Trask, the torturer. Even though Trask is much bigger, Rossetti slams him around and reveals that he has heat vision and tells John that his problems are just getting started. Back in therapy, Lois tells the doctor that she feels she functions better when she's under pressure and she has a lot on her plate. But the doctor tells her that she thinks Lois hasn't given herself time to process. She tells her that her miscarriage wasn't her fault, no matter how guilty she feels, and that she has to allow herself to go through the grieving process, or she's likely to keep having issues with her boys. At school, Jordan shows up in the music room to support Sarah, and John follows in, needing to talk to him about family stuff, and Jordan tells him that whatever happened, they're in it together. Before John gets into it, though, he notices flowers that Jordan brought for Sarah and calls him on it. Sarah hasn't seen Kyle and says she can't do the performance without him, so Jordan offers to back her on the piano. Rossetti tells John Henry to an R&D lab where he says that he can stop Superman with what's in the lab. John reveals that the lab has about a dozen prototypes for kryptonite weapons if the likelihood that Superman should ever go rogue, and going down there is a huge risk, but Superman goes there anyway. In the R&D lab, Superman squares off against Rossetti, who keeps bombarding with kryptonite gas. Now, this scene with the kryptonite gas reminded me of so much with Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, where Batman used kryptonite gas to slow down Superman and get his hits in. The only thing missing with this scene was having Rossetti say to Superman, "Breathe it in, that's fear." That was a really good scene, and I couldn't help but get callbacks to the Dawn of Justice movie. Superman tells John Henry to get out and save himself as Rossetti hits him with kryptonite gas grenades while wearing a gas mask. Superman tears off the gas mask, evening the fight significantly, but Rossetti starts to get the upper hand. He turns to leave, though, and John Henry stabs him through the heart with a kryptonite spear. See? Another Dawn of Justice reference, with Batman using the kryptonite spear. Brilliant stuff, and I like how there's nice callbacks to lots of Superman media. He tells Superman that back on his Earth, the spear was his favourite weapon for killing Kryptonians. He's ready to kill Superman when Lois and Sam walk in, with Lois telling him that she knows about Natalie, which stops him dead in his tracks. She tells him that the loss of his family isn't his fault, and that isn't Superman's fault either, and that both our worlds are very different. She says that she doesn't think John has it in him to kill an innocent man, and John reluctantly drops the spear and is taken back into custody. After it's all done, Superman is recuperating with Sam, who tells him that he has to hope for the best but prepare for the worst, even when it comes to Superman. Superman tells Sam that trust goes both ways and asks about Rossetti. Lana says there's no indication that he was a Kryptonian at all, and Superman says that when Derek Powell killed himself, he implied that he was someone else and told Superman that he wasn't alone anymore. Lois says that he thinks that Edge is putting together Kryptonian souls into human hosts to build an army, and we should be ready. At the Cushion's house, the next morning, Kyle is cleaning up after a night of binge drinking. Sarah comes in and he tries to apologise, but she tells him that he doesn't this all the time, and she isn't interested in his excuses or promises because she can't keep getting her hopes up. Fair enough. At the Kent farmhouse, Jordan is playing piano while John looks out the window at John Henry Irons, who is in his RV. John asks what someone who tried to kill Clark is doing there, and Jordan says Lois trusts him. John asks if Jordan really trusts Lois's judgment after what she saw in the RV. She walks in, asks to be alone with John, and admits to him that she lost a baby when he and Jordan were toddlers. She apologises for exploding at her, and the two tearfully make up. She tells him that she knows what it's like to be standing there with Superman feeling useless, but she wants him to know that they're on the same team. We then see outside, Superman visits John Henry Irons, who has been cleared of all charges because he used non-lethal means in all of his crimes, and the DoD thinks he can be more useful if something really does come of his fears about Edge and his army of superpowered Kryptonians. John is getting into the RV and takes the road, saying that while he will let Superman live, it doesn't mean he's ready to fight by his side. Superman says, "I understand," and leaves, and Lois approaches him. He tells her that he has a lot to say and that she isn't the woman he wants to say it to. She just looks like her, and he leaves. As he gets ready to go on the road, he tells the AI to erase all profiles of Captain Luthor and start a new one for John Henry Irons. He then eventually shuts down the systems for a while so that he can go drive for a while. And that pretty much ends episode 8 and my review. Overall, as I mentioned already, an excellent episode. Really enjoyed this one a lot. This show is just getting better and better, and I'm just wondering whether or not we are actually going to see this evil Superman come to this Earth and try and go after John Henry Irons, because you've got to know that there's going to be a big confrontation coming. And also, you know, the idea of Morgan Edge putting together an army of superpowered human beings as a Kryptonian army is just scary and very intriguing. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how that's going to play out. So with that all said, I'm going to wrap this up now. What did you think of episode 8? Did you enjoy it? What was your thoughts on Superman's reaction to General Sam Lane keeping a stockpile of kryptonite weapons? Do you think something could come out of this? And also, what did you think of the scene where Superman interrogated John Henry Irons? Did you enjoy that? And also, do you think they could be working together to stop Morgan Edge's army of Kryptonian warriors? And also, do you think at some point we could actually see this evil Superman from John Henry Irons' Earth? And also, do you think he could end up joining Morgan Edge's army? And also, what was your reaction to Lois Lane blowing up on Jonathan and revealing that she had a miscarriage many years ago? Were you surprised at that? And did that make you feel sad learning that revelation? You know what to do, guys. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave your thoughts and comments down below, and I will see all of you next time for another edition of the Superman and Lois Season 1 review series, where I am going to be talking about Episode 9, which I am very much looking forward to talking about, and I can't wait to see it. I know it's going to be an absolute blockbuster of an episode, so it should be a lot of fun to see. So until next time, take care everybody, and stay safe, and once again, thanks for listening.